To survive a cold Canadian winter on our 78-foot boat, we needed heat, and fast. I had never done anything like this before, but after weeks of research, we decided on a Dickinson diesel heater. I didn't just want it to work, I wanted it to look good too, which meant designing a custom chimney. 4 years later, it's still keeping us warm, but like anything, it's got its pros and cons. Now, if there's one thing that we learned about Tangaroa on the trip down from Alaska, is the heat was sadly lacking. We had 3 space heaters on board, one in the pilot house to defog the windows, one in the main salon to keep that livable, and one in the master stateroom. And they were all the 110-volt stand-up space heaters, which meant running the generator 24 hours a day the entire way down from Alaska, which that's pretty excessive. So we needed to do something. What you guys don't know is that my wife was diagnosed with PTSD after 20 years of policing. And it was pretty hard on her. And one of the reasons why we got the boat is so she could be away from all of that. Lots of windows on the boat, so she's got full view everywhere around. And people can't actually get to her on the boat. So priority was to get her onto the boat as soon as possible. And without heat, we couldn't do that. Working as an engineer on private yachts for years, I've done lots of fixing things. I've done lots of maintenance, but I've never had to install a heater on the boat. So it took a little bit of research figuring out what we were after. First of all, for fuel, we have some options. You could do wood pellet stove, we could do a diesel heater. Not sure, propane heat would have been another one that we could use. Now, one of the main factors that drove this decision was the fact that we hold 3,000 gallons of fuel. So for us, it was pretty much a no-brainer. We were doing something in a diesel heat. Once we had that in mind, we had choices between multiple diesel heaters, Webasto's, I'm not sure what the other ones were. Dickinson was another one that we had looked at. So after deciding all of this, the Dickinson fit the bill. It was compact, it looked pretty, it had a nice ambiance, so that's the way we went with it. Now we went ahead and put the order in, we got the heater. It was a little bit smaller than we expected, and the chimney pieces were a little bit cheaper than what I would like. I've been building custom exhausts on cars for years, custom stainless steel, TIG welded, pretty things, and I needed something like that. So that's what we did.
Planning out where to put our new little hurricane heater. I call it R2D2. So we have to build a base for it, but we're going to bring it about 6 inches up. It's a little Alaska by Dickinson. It's going to be my little diesel, and I can see the fire through it, which is going to be awesome. But we really need to get it working, and it's got to go all the way up here through the ceiling, which is right by the crane. But they're planning it out, drawing it out. Luckily, Blaine knows how to fabricate, and Jason's bouncing ideas off of him, so it's going to be awesome.
I'm going to kick 45 here, and then 45 there. And go a little closer to the wall over here. That way people have less of a chance of walking into a hot stovepipe.
Yeah, but there's me. I'm a klutz on this boat, man. Trust me.
I don't know what you're talking about.
What are you doing?
Cutting up the first of 4 platforms for the legs for the platform to sit on.
That's the marine tropical plywood?
Yep.
Why were you swearing earlier? Why were you swearing earlier?
Because I made that many cuts, and every single time the saw would kick to one side and it'd angle across. Woodworker, I am not. After choosing a location for the heater, I had to get the heater flue going up through the top of the boat. Right above us here is the crane, and unfortunately the crane plate keeps me from going directly straight up, so I had to do this dog leg. Now, I've never done a heater chimney before. However, I've done lots of automotive exhausts in the past. So I built this one out of 304 stainless steel, and it turned out pretty well. I'm happy with it. Heater, they usually come with kind of just bent tin tacked together. I wanted something a little nicer, so I decided to make it out of some better stainless steel. And I was kind of wondering how I was going to be able to make the transition from the old chimney stuff to the new piping that I
Well, wait,
put
does that
together.
go on the outside of the boat?
This goes on the outside of the boat, so that'll be
That's
up
our
above
little
the
chimney?
deck. Yeah.
Oh, with
so,
that attached to
yeah,
it.
so that's that deck plate that I had made up. So that's a wedge that'll basically take up the taper of the side of the boat.
Yeah.
And this guy sits on top.
Oh,
upstairs.
that's so pretty, Blaine.
So then
It's so
that'll
pretty
go-
and shiny.
And they want you to make that out of wood as well.
Oh,
Which
no.
not doing that.
Boat's
so,
aluminum.
So I laid that up and milled it down with a taper. So that'll be up on top of the deck, basically like that.
Yep.
And then I was wondering how to make the transition between the nice tubing to the old stuff, because I really don't want to have to remake that. So
And
I
what?
decided to try it. Perfect slip fit.
Nothing ever fits on this boat. How did you get that so fluky easy?
I just got lucky.
It's so cute right now, just with a little tin hat on.
It's the Tin Man.
It is a Tin Man. Little R2-D2. Oh, I can't wait to get that hooked up.
So anyway, that's good. I've taken measurements for the angle piece, so it'll actually come up through right here. Because
Okay.
we've got the hoist on the deck up there, the big deck crane. So I've got to kick it out forward enough where it's away from that.
Oh, Janice is going to get heat soon.
Yeah. So anyway,
Cool.
that's it.
Huh, nothing ever fits right on this boat, but look at that. I'm
Except
impressed.
for when it does. This got off. I just had that on there to weld it, but
That's going to look good.
that's going to go through
What's too long?
this piece.
Oh, can you cut it here, or we have to
Oh,
go
yeah,
back to the shop?
I just tack welded it, so I've just got to break the tacks off of it. And then I'll figure out where to drill the hole through, and then I brought the ring with me and finished that up today.
Are you drilling the hole today?
Maybe.
Oh,
Likely. Because I've got this piece. I did some more work on the ring that I appear to have maybe forgotten at the shop.
Oh, crap. Really?
Yep.
Am I going back?
How could I have forgotten that?
Well,
That's not annoying at all.
we're that much closer, and Blaine put a hole in the ceiling. Look how thick that is. Look at this. This is the piece he cut out. You can see how thick that aluminum is. And then I think it's... Oh, it's Bondo or wood? I think that's all Bondo. So it's going to be... It's like, this is the top deck here. Aluminum. And it looks like some kind of Bondo finish. Wow. That's a big hole up there. Still haven't found the piece yet, but we will. There's a hole in the deck, dear Blaine, dear Blaine. There's a hole in the deck, dear Blaine. A hole.
A big hole. Yep.
Well, fix it, dear Blaine, dear Blaine, dear Blaine. Well, fix it, dear Blaine, dear Blaine. Fix it.
On it.
You should say, with what shall I fix it with, dear Janice, dear Janice.
With the part that I misplaced, dear Janice, dear Janice.
With
the part that I misplaced, dear Janice, the extremely custom and took me a long time to make part.
Bart. Look, Blaine found his piece
We have
he was
located
looking for. So what do you have?
So that's that piece that I was.
That's
showing
for the roof,
everybody. That
where the
goes on
hole is.
roof to basically take up the angle of the roof.
Yeah.
And then I did a nice little radius on the edge
that's
of it.
pretty.
So when this guy sits on top,
Oh, aren't
it
you
locks
just...
down nice and tight.
Aren't you just so SMRT?
Well, gotta be.
I like it. Are you going to
Yeah.
put it up now? Because we have a hole in our roof.
Putting it up now.
And it's supposed to rain tomorrow.
I have to do some drilling and tapping first, but it's on the go.
So this is where Blaine is putting the chimney. There's the hole into our salon.
Just taping, so I have a nice line of
Is-
caulking.
Is that what you were sanding there? You're sanding this so that the caulking will
Yep.
stick? Very important for prep.
Absolutely.
You got a boat coming right up behind you. All these women checking you out, Blaine.
Yeah, well, you can't blame them. It's hard to be so pretty. Okay.
Now what?
Ready to stick some stuff.
Stick some stuff!
Yep, I'm gonna need you downstairs.
But I was videoing.
It's gonna be hard for you to
Ooh, so pretty. You don't have a garbage here to put the tape on.
No, I don't.
So one thing about 5200, you always get it on you no matter what. Daisy would call this, what would she say? Do you find this not relaxing, satisfying? Remember those videos she watches on YouTube? Is that satisfying?
I do find this satisfying.
I think that's the weirdest term.
There we go.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's gonna seal.
It's very pretty. That's gonna be our little, which way are we gonna face it? I don't know.
I can face it whichever way I want.
Okay, I was like, huh?
I forgot that slid off. So, mentioned the flue extension, the chimney extension. That's this guy here. Now, this wasn't on originally. This is actually what you would get if you were to buy a chimney pipe from Dickinson or a marine supplier. This is just a thin tin extension. This was added after the fact because we were trying to get a little bit more draft happening because it seemed a little bit low. And then this is the chimney cap. We use the H-pipe version. This is a little bit better in wind. We get a little bit of wind up here in the Pacific Northwest, so that handles that a little bit better. Better for keeping rain out, better for keeping the draft consistent when the wind is blowing.
And we get a little bit of black on the deck, eh?
A little bit. We're still working on getting the burn perfect on the heater. It takes a little bit of getting used to and figuring that out. So right now we're getting a bit of ash, so we need to figure out how to get it to burn a little hotter and a little leaner. But we're getting there. It's getting better every day. Now on a normal install, these heaters would have a day tank. And what a day tank is, it's a small tank that sits just above the heater, and they're gravity fed. We didn't really per se have that option, so what we ended up doing is putting in a pump, which is another option for these. So there's a little lift pump down in the engine room that just constantly feeds fuel up to here. It's a very low pressure pump. It works pretty well. However, there is always a constant ticking of that pump as it feeds fuel up. So that's one thing that we had to get used to when we were running this heater.
Okay, so we are trying to put in, what are we doing, laying the diesel line?
Yep, this is the fuel line, diesel for the Dickinson heater.
Blaine's on the other side of the wall, and I have to push this really long pipe. Look at it. Goes all the way out. My God, it goes way out there. So we got to get this through the bulkhead. Okay, Blaine. Okay, let's go see what he was doing. So on the other side of this is, so I was pushing on that side of the wall. What were you doing?
It's feeding through here.
Oh, no wonder it was hard.
Yeah, so I'm gonna have to get that in there, and then I'm gonna have to separate all these wires away from it.
And what's this metal line for?
This
stainless steel pipe?
This brings diesel fuel to the Dickinson heater.
Operation Get Janice
So
Heat.
our R2D2 gets a new line from the engine room.
R2D2 needs a new line, but it's a bitch to put in.
A little tough to put in, yeah.
But it'll be worth it.
Yep. So we persevere. One thing we learned pretty quickly on the Dickinson heater is they can be a little finicky to light up for the first time. They're not a simple flick a switch and off you go to the races. You've got to fill the burner pot with a little bit of primer fuel, then you've got to try to get that primer fuel lit by dropping in pieces of paper, lit up pieces of paper. Let's just say it's a process, and to get the burn just right has taken us 4 years at this point, and we still don't have it perfect.
Did a good job with it, Blaine.
Thank you.
What are you looking at?
Well, it's
like glowing red on the top. Look at it. Is it supposed to glow red like that?
Yep.
Okay. R2D2 is doing well. What are you looking at with the instruction sheet?
perfect mix. Not just where it should be burning. There you have it. Not done yet, but it works. Now, of course, there's always pros and cons. To start off with the pros, this heater burns a very small amount of fuel. We're talking 1.5 gallons to 2.5 gallons a day, which is pretty impressive. Another pro is, if you're not building your own chimney, these are actually fairly easy heaters to install. It's also a very good source of dry heat, and it's done a pretty good job of keeping the boat dry over the years. And the last pro is it's so cute. It's a nice little heater. You got a glass window so you can see the flame. Good ambiance. And we've nicknamed it R2D2. Works for us. After 4 years of living with this heater though, we have also noticed some cons. First being is in really cold conditions, it's not quite enough to keep the main salon super hot. That could be a window issue though. I would say probably one of my biggest issues with this heater is cleaning it. The flue does eventually get plugged up with some carbon and then it starts burning really dirty. And it is the most disgusting job to clean that all out because one little speck of that ash and soot will spread out into like 1 square foot. So it's terrible. It gets everywhere. It's just nasty.
What is that thing?
That's the low sulfur baffle.
What does that mean?
It's for fuel that's low sulfur.
Oh.
It helps, I guess it's not quite as volatile.
Do we have low sulfur fuel? Is that what you meant? Said? That's weird. Okay. Sorry, I'm still half asleep. That looks a mess to clean up.
It's not too bad today.
You don't know why you rush?
No. It doesn't have to be spotless.
How often do you have to clean out Lord Dickinson?
When it gets dirty.
Aren't you funny?
I don't know. I think I might be burning a bit lean. These deposits are a little bit harder. Supposedly that's running lean on the Dickinson.
Let's see. Oh yeah, look at that. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, now I gotta get all that junk out. Wash my hands first. That's rusty stainless steel.
Oh.
From the heat. I'm bleeding there though.
Oh, you and your fingers.
Okay.
Would you like some tea?
Yes, please.
Why are you using my teacups?
This is the heater cup.
Oh, it's usually diesel oil in it. What is that?
That's the ash out of the heater. That's about a month of built up ash on here. So
What are you going to do with it?
throw it in the garbage.
Oh, is it like diesel ash?
Yeah.
It can't go overboard, eh?
It's like, no, it can't go over. It's like hard ash.
Oh, that's kind of...
So it probably has something to do with our burn. We might have to go richer or leaner with it, but...
Tea time.
Another issue with this heater is it uses a little fan underneath that assists with airflow when you don't have enough draft built up. Ours, we find we have to run it all the time, and we've had one fail, and after I removed it, I noticed that it was pretty poor quality. So that's another issue that we've had with this one.
Is it all fixed?
I gotta run the wires backed up to it again, but yeah, more or less.
I don't think I've seen it so clean.
It's been a while. Still dirty in here.
We had the fan go out, and that's what Blaine's fixing now. We also have a problem because when you put in the bolts here, you couldn't get them out, so you had to cut them.
Yep.
And take the whole thing to the shop. Oh, that's how you did it last time.
Mm-hmm. While experimenting with multiple different burn options on this thing, we've also noticed that it deposits a heck of a lot of soot up on the roof as well. And it goes down the sides of the boat when it rains, and it just makes a huge mess.
So I'm having to scrub it by hand, as you guys can see, but it's looking a bit better. Really, it needs a whole paint job, but you can see the delineation line of dirt there. And a lot of it is from our diesel heater right there. So this is the winter that I'm cleaning up, and I'm only using Dawn, and it tends to be cleaning it up quite nicely.
One issue that we've noticed as well is inside of this little carb, there's a needle in seat, and it's gotten plugged on us about 3 times, and when that happens, it'll actually start spitting fuel out of the side of the carburetor. Fortunately, we've got a basin to catch all that, but it could be pretty sketchy if you didn't have something there. So this is what I found on the heater, and this is pretty typical for what it does. It's about the only problem we've ever had with it is the needle in seat in here, and that's what judges how high the diesel is in the carburetor. That needle in seat gets blocked up with gunk or whatever, and then it doesn't seal off when the float bowl gets full, so it starts to overflow, and it overflows into our little catch basin. So I'm just taking this out. So this is the float that floats up when the diesel level comes up, and it blocks off the port coming in. But when it doesn't work properly, it doesn't seal it, and fuel keeps coming in, and it spits out the breather tube. So I'm just gonna go clean that up, and we'll try again. So I just putting this all back together again now. Got the cover plate going on. We've turned the pump on and tested it. It's no longer leaking. So we are once again good for heating. It's a pretty easy fix. We've also noticed that even though I've put a draft assist damper in, it was probably not needed, and it probably does more detrimental effect than it does help. It allows more air to enter the chimney when you have too much draft happening, so it bypasses the burner pot. We have never had an issue with too much draft on this heater, so having that gone would probably help our cause. We've had the Dickinson for 4 years now, and for the most part it's been pretty beneficial. It's a great little source of heat. It's got its little quirks, however, we've grown used to those, and we're pretty happy with the purchase and the install. It allowed us to get on board fairly rapidly, which for Janice has been a huge benefit. It's really gone a long way to making her feel safe and happy, and for me that's worth every bit of effort it took.